Welcome to Rising with Soccer.
Hello everyone, coming to the first quarterfinal match of Euro 2020, that is Switzerland versus Spain. Let's look into lineup and formations for both teams. In orange we have Switzerland and in blue we have Spain. Somo will be starting in goal for Switzerland with Ricardo Rodriguez, Ikanji and Elvedi as centre backs. Then coming to the midfielders from left hand side, Zubair, Shaka, Shakiri, Frule and Widmer or Mbabu. Last match was started by Widmer and Mbabu came as a substitute. But I think Widmer or anyone will be good for this game. Coming to striker role, we will be having Imbolo and Seferovic. Both are good players. Coming to the Spanish side, Spain will be going with the classic 4-3-3 formation with Unai Simon in goal. On right back, we will be having Espliqueta. On centre back partnership, we will be having Laporte and Pau Torres. Pau Torres came as a substitute in last game against Croatia. Left back will be Jordi Alba. Jordi Alba also came as a substitute against in last game. I guess he was getting rested by the team, but this game he will surely start. Then coming to the CDM role, Sergio Busquets will be operating from this area. Coming to the cam roles, Pedri and Koke will be operating here. And coming to the striker role, we will be having Morata. On wings, there are multiple choices, and all the choices are working very, very great. Dani Olmo, Gerard Moreno, Pablo Sarabia, all three are good. But I guess Gerard Moreno and Dani Olmo might start against Switzerland because they have been rested quite well. And Dani Olmo in last game came as a substitute, provided two assists in the injury time, and Spain scored on those two assists. So Daniel will be beaming with confidence, and I guess he will be starting, and he deserves to start. And then coming to the key battles on the pitch, we will be having Morata versus Akanji. Uh, Morata is not that in form, but in last game he scored a good goal, taking the ball, controlling the ball on his left foot and scoring from the right, a good goal. So he might have got some confidence in last game against Croatia. So it will be a good thing to watch. But Akanji will be also full of confidence because in last match he was against Karim Benzema and he man marked Benzema very well. Benzema got scored two goals, but still Akanji was really good, and he also scored a penalty against France in penalty shootout. So he will be beaming with confidence. So it's a good technical battle we will see. And coming to the left wing, we will be having Dani Olmo. So Dani Olmo is a really great guy. In last game, he came as a substitute for the right wing and he provided two assists. Uh, on left wing, whenever he play, he again likes to either try to cross or cut inside and dribble past the defenders. So it will be really very difficult to know what way this Daniel Olmo will be looking for in this game because Switzerland defense are very compact. They do not leave their boxes, so that needs to be seen because in last game also, Kylian Mbappe, and on the right wing we'll be having Antoine Griezmann. They were trying to cut inside. They were not trying to cross. They were getting inside the box and then crossing, not up from outside the box. So let's see how it goes. I guess Daniel Olmo would like to stay inside this area so that he can attract one of the defenders so that he can be creating spaces for other two midfielders, that is Koke and Pedri. So I'm hoping in this game also Olmo will be looking to stay in this area only, not looking to cut inside also. He can cut inside also because he is having Jordi Alba as a support from that wing back. So he can cut in also, and they can create a lot of overload inside this area with a lot of Spanish players. So this needs to be seen. So this pitch, this side of the pitch will be very very crucial for Spain and Switzerland to manage. And I have seen Widmer or Mbappé both are good in attacking as well as defense. So if anyone starts, they will be having their hands full with Jordi Alba, and that's pretty obvious to be honest. Then coming to the this Pedri versus Koke, we will be having mostly uh, Granit Xhaka and Frula. Both of the players played fantastic against France. Xhaka was the man of the match in that game. He provided the most forward passes and on his last pass, Seferovic scored a equalizer against France. So Shaka will be beaming with the confidence, and Fruller was very great player. He plays for Atlanta. He's a very industrious worker. Likes to. He's always full of energy. So Pedri is a young guy against Fruller. So let's see how it goes. But it's a really very key battle, to be honest. If at all Pedri is able to link up with this Jordi Alba and Daniel Olmo, that will be really very threatening for Switzerland. And coming to the strikers, Seferovic and Imbolo versus Pau Torres and Laporte. We have seen in last game also Imbolo likes to switch to wings and try to create a width and spaces so that he can attract the other center back among himself, and Shakiri can enter into those spaces. So this needs to be watched carefully because Shakiri versus Busquets will be the key battle on the pitch. And Shakiri is a phenomenal player. If he gets outside the ball outside the box and he sees some spaces, he will try to get a shot from there and he can score from outside. So Busquets need to be very agile in that scenario and need to cover up Shakiri. In last game of Spain versus Croatia, Sergio Busquets was the man of the match. So again, it's a very good tactical battle we will be seeing. And Seferovic scored 2 goals in last game. He was really superstar in last game. So Pau Torres will be having a difficult time against him, because whenever a player scores against France and uh, that to an equalizer, he must be filled with confidence, and I think he can score any if any goal from anywhere. So Pau Torres versus Seferovic, I guess Seferovic will be having upper hand here. Then coming to the right wing, we will be having Azpilicueta as right back, and on Gerard Moreno or Pablo Sarabia as a winger. So in last game, Ricardo Rodriguez missed a penalty, but he was very solid in defense. He was really very solid, and I guess he will be solid against Spain also. A very experienced player. He knows when to tackle and when to set and when let the game play. So when to tackle, he is a really play a good player. So Pablo Sarabia or Gerard Moreno will have a hard time against him. And Azpilicueta has really turned Spain's fortune, to be honest. In the first 2 games, he didn't started, and they were not able to score on anything. But after that, he started against Slovakia. They scored 5 goals. This he started against Croatia. They scored 5 goals. So Azpilicueta is the lucky charm for Spain, I guess, because when he starts, they have scored 5 goals each. So let's see how it goes. And Aspilicueta is really dangerous. He scored a goal in last game also, header from the close range. So Aspilicueta is a real threat. He can really provide good crosses inside the box. And this so so most of the time we will be seeing this much attacking from Spain, because Spain likes to possess the ball, and Switzerland will be suffering. And we have seen Switzerland in this tournament, they like to do direct attacks, like direct long ball and counter attack they like to prefer. So they might be intercepting a lot of balls here, and whenever they will receive or retrieve the ball here, they will be directly start providing the direct balls from here to this end of the pitch, so that because it is having spaces, otherwise this end this side of the pitch. So this will be need to be seen. Like we know Imbolo likes to switch, and Imbolo is a space. Seferovic is a experienced player, but he is a aged player also, so he does not have that much space. So most of the time Shakiri will be switching to the wing, and Imbolo will be switching to the wing, and Seferovic will be here in the center to get the ball, to get the crosses to score the goals. So it will be very nice to see who covers, like if Shakiri can turn into left wing also or right wing also. Same Imbolo can also operate from both the wings. So most of the time Switzerland will be trying to retrieve the ball and try to give direct ball or counter attack, and provide a crosses inside the box so that Seferovic can have a shot on target. And Shakiri will be dangerous if at all he gets the ball in this areas of the pitch and there is a lot of space. He can directly take a shot and it will be turning into goals. So it will be a really good game. Game will be played in St. Petersburg, Russia. The players to watch will be Zedon Shakiri from Switzerland and Jordi Alba from Spain. Zedon Shakiri was good in last game against France, but he was playing against Kante. and Cantivino doesn't give a lot of space to attacking players. Really takes a lot of energy in that game. So Zadar Shakiri will be the player to watch in this game. He has in the last game he could not make his mark, but now he must be very instrumental against Spain if he has to win. And Jordi Alba, as always, he's a great player, experienced player. He can deliver a pinpoint crosses, can cut inside, can always, and if at all he gets a space, he can also score the goals. So he is the player to look for. Uh, this is a really hard game to be predicting the score line because Spain has scored 10 goals in last two games, but Switzerland also conceded 3 goals and scored 3 goals against France. So both teams' defense can be tricky sometimes, and but their attackers are kind of scoring a lot of goals. So we need to see how it goes. But I'm thinking Spain will be having an upper hand going into the game because in last three international games between Switzerland and Spain, Spain has won once and match has been drawn twice. And Switzerland has never won, but the Switzerland has never been into knockout stages of any international tournament also. But they are here, so anything can happen. But still, I'm predicting Spain will be winning this game with a 2-1 scoreline. Looking at the last games, we can see France versus Switzerland. France took more than double number of shots. Shots on target were just a little more. Position also France were having 55%. Then passing accuracy was also France was leading. Corners they got 8 corners. Fouls they committed 14. If we see Switzerland, 45% ball position, 84% passing accuracy, not bad. It's a good passing accuracy. 13 fouls, then 5 corners. If you see from the stats, you will be seeing Switzerland was a kind of a second team. Means France was always having an upper hand. But the thing is, France did not take their chances when opportunity came. They could not score. Like Kylian Mbappe did not score when the chances was there to score, and that's why France lost. And when the game goes to penalties, anyone can win. That's anybody's game. So Switzerland won there, and Kylian Mbappe missed his last decisive penalty. So Switzerland gone through. And looking at Croatia versus Spain, Spain was all over the game till 77th minute, but after that, Croatia made few substitutions, and within 10 minutes, they got themselves 2 goals, and the match ended in 3-3. And then added extra time came into picture, and in that, Dani Olmo came as a substitute, and he provided two good passes for Morata and Oyarzabal goal. So they scored the goal and they won the game. If you see, Spain was also dominating that game with 23 shots, 10 on target, 68% ball position. Same thing is going to happen against Switzerland. They will be having a lot of ball position, so Switzerland needs to be very concentrated. Whenever they will get chance to intercept the ball inside their half, they shall go with the direct balls and counter-attacking football. Passing accuracy is always flawless for them. Uh, Corners they have got 8. If it's Croatia only got 1 corner. Six offside because they were trying to give the direct counter-attack ball, but that doesn't happen. And the strikers were offside, so 6. So that's a lot. So Switzerland also need to look that offside trap situation against Spain. Accuracy was also good for Croatia. Not that great, but good. Shot on target accuracy, you can see 50% plus shots are on target, so that's good. Whereas Spain was having less than 50% of shot accuracy. So still at the end, Spain won, so that's what matters. And looking at the last three fixtures, we can see Spain won one game and two matches were drawn with the 1-1 scoreline. So tomorrow's game will be very crucial. And if we see in the tournament, we can see Spain has been a better side. High turnovers, they like to press high up the field. 34 high turnovers, short ending at halftime, also 6, that is higher than Switzerland. Pass pressing sequence is 78, they like to press high. Build ups 24, obviously take they have a lot of position, so they can pass the ball easily. And whenever they lose the ball, they try to recover it as soon as possible. Then they have 24 build ups, one build up goal. They do not do direct attacks, but whenever they are capable of doing, because they are having pacey strikers and wingers, so that they can also do. uh, and mostly Switzerland will be going with the direct attacks only. We can see 8 direct attack and 1 attacking goal, and 10 plus passes 115 times. That's a lot. So looking at all these stats and everything, I think Spain can win this game, but we cannot. In football, it's a never say never. Anything can happen. So it will be a very high crunch game, high stakes game. So it will be a very great game to watch. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned.